I'm sorry when things don't get finished when they really should be. It's a really hard place to do art.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's like the most impossible place. And I think it should be a calling card for artists everywhere. It's like, if you can build something at Burning Man, they should just give you as much money as you want because you will finish it.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
There was a piece out there this year that was, I think it was supposed to be a giant clothes dryer when it was done. But when we stumbled upon it, the internal cylinder was not a cylinder at all. It had gone very lens shaped.
I'm going to say that there were both no carpenters and no engineers who worked on the project.
That happens. Yeah.
Yeah, just like a bunch of drywall screws holding 2x4s of wood together using no brackets, just butt joints, and the entire thing collapsed.
Well, my first piece collapsed, so I completely empathize with that.
What was your first piece?
In 1999, I did a piece called Callio-dome. Mm-hmm. It was at Center Camp. It was a giant dome, especially for the time. It was a giant dome. It was 30 feet tall, 60 feet wide. And, but none of us were engineers, so we made it out of the thinnest EMT possible. And it collapsed on Wednesday. I mean, there was a huge windstorm on Wednesday that just blew the thing down. But we also kind of rallied. We figured out that we could make small pyramids around this giant pyramid that we had put in the middle of the dome. So it became this like pyramid garden, and you could play the pyramid. So it kind of worked out better in a way.
Nice.
And, it was cool. And actually, Burning Man wanted our little pyramids that we made after that, and they became like the greeters things for the first couple of years.
That's
cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So 93 is a hell of an early start date. What the hell kind of weirdo were you that you were out at this weirdo event so fucking early?
I was an artist living in a loft, and I was surrounded by other weirdo artists. And my friends were packing up for the weekend, and they were like, "What are you doing? Do you have a job right now?" And I'm like, "No." They said, "You're coming to Burning Man." I'm like, "What is that? I don't even know what that is." They're like, "You'll love it. It's great. Just pack some stuff.
Bring an extra pair of sweatpants and like 30 gallons of water."
Yeah, the 30 gallons of water would have been a good idea. But yeah, they just convinced me to go, and I drove up in my truck. I had no idea what I was doing. I was sleeping in the back of my truck, and when we got there, I had to pay the $25 to get in, but I couldn't find the guy because he was too high on acid, so I never paid. So
that's why you go back in 93.
Oh, back in the day when Gate and Box Office was a guy.
What's that? There's no gate. There was no gate. No, nothing like that. Nothing at all.
And you were back with art in 99. Are you a lifer? Did you get the bug real early?
Yeah, I mean, I got it. Yeah, I got it pretty early. I mean, I wanted to, contribute after a few years of going, and then I started wanting to make art, and then I became part of like I was in Mutaytor too.
No shit.
Oh my God, you are amazing.
Yeah, you keep getting cooler.
Yeah,
thanks.
Can you somehow bring Mutaytor back to Playa? These kids don't know what they're missing.
Yeah, well, we're all kind of old now, but
the Rolling Stones are still touring. I mean, did you see Paul McCartney embarrassing himself just a couple weeks ago? You guys can do better than that.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I saw some of the Mutaytor people a couple weekends ago, and we talked about doing a reunion show. So I don't know. Maybe it'll happen. Who knows?
Yes, please.
Okay. Anyway,
come back.
Yeah, so I was in Mutaytor, and then I did my own project as well that was called Skin. That was like a multimedia show that we did with projections and aerialists on either side of the projectors, and we did that. I think 2004, and a huge windstorm kicked up again and just blew through all of my gear, and so like we decided,
knocked all of the dancers down. We had to replace them with pyramids.
Yeah, no, it was bad. We had to blow out our gear for like 2 days and then play another show on Friday. I decided I didn't want to go back and just do that again, so I decided to get a structure to play in. I looked around and I was like, what could I get? And I started looking at circus tents on eBay. And I figured out there was this company that would make me a circus tent for like $14,000. So we started fundraising for that, and that turned into Cirque Berserk.
Nice.
So I created that too.
I don't know that we've ever had someone on the podcast name dropping themselves quite so much.
Sorry. Well, you just asked about all this stuff.
It's fucking amazing, man.
You asked about all this stuff, so I figured I'd give you
I'm not usually impressed by anyone on this thing. Tell us about Cirque Berserk.
Yeah, so Cirque Berserk, we did a full circus show on the playa the year after that, and it was crazy. I mean, I had no idea how to set up a circus tent. I pounded all the stakes in by hand like an idiot, and was practically broken. But everyone like lined up to see the circus show, and it became this like thing that year. And then the year after, we brought it back as part of a circus collective and did a bigger show. And then we started doing shows in LA. And we did a big tent show in the State Historic Park here for the summer in 2009. And then we did another version of that in the what was Club Nokia at the time. It's Club Novo now, but we did another version of that in 2011. I wrote the music for that, and I wrote the show, and I was Death. I was the Ringmaster, so that's how I got my name. So,
that's like both a legit playa name and a legit job title.
There you go.
It's not everybody that can put their playa name on their resume.
Yes, it was on a business card.
This has been a pretty long cold open.
I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Now it's great.
Okay.
Welcome to Accuracy Third. I'm Beth.
I'm D-Day.
I'm Rex.
And today on Accuracy Third, we have the one, we have the only, we have the guy who made Mega Mega.
Aw, shit, yeah.
His name's Ringmaster, but I don't always call him his name right in this episode.
I didn't even notice. What did you call him?
Ringleader. Sometimes I would start really strong, ring, and then kind of ring-a-ding-doo. Yeah, that's right, Ringser.
Ringser.
Yeah, we have Ringmaster, who is great and a hell of a time and a real good conversationalist and is an artist who is able to explain the process and the conception of their art very well. It was a pleasure to talk to them. Our patrons get to hear all of that, as well as us shit-talking AI and the different design programs we use for like damn near 25 minutes.
Fun.
Yeah, this was one of those interviews where we're expecting something pretty cool, and we get that, but that something pretty cool turns out to be just a small slice of this giant pizza of cool shit.
Yeah, it is not hyperbole to say that Ringmaster is in the very upper echelon of the quote-unquote coolest people we have ever interviewed on this podcast about the Burning Man experience.
Wow, really?
Ringmaster.
Do I have to listen to this episode too?
You really should be
Listen to all of the episodes, Beth. They come out once every 2 weeks. This is Ringmaster.
So first off, we need to ask the all-important question. Do you want to be Kevin or do you want to be Ringmaster?
Oh, that's a really good question.
No shade on Kevin, but Ringmaster is a much better name than Kevin.
Yeah, you can call me Ringmaster. You can just mention my name's Kevin, though. That's fine.
Perfect, because like now this is in the episode right here.
You know, some people prefer a little bit of anonymity so they can say very stupid things. Others couldn't care so much.
Yeah, what kind of important job do you have, Ringmaster Kevin?
I'm a TV editor, and I've done sound design and filmmaking. So yeah, that's
well, shit. You have marketable skills. Doesn't matter if you get fired or not.
Well, not these days.
Yeah, and you work in an industry where the kind of things that you would admit to doing at Burning Man are not really going to be a strike against you.
No, they're kind of a plus, actually. They're like, oh, yeah, who's that weird guy who goes to Burning Man with all the dreads? Yeah.
You
Let's
know
hire that guy.
You know what you do, Ringmaster? You get new business cards printed. You put like video editor and audio mixer and AI on that business card. And then they'll keep hiring you because they're so fucking hard on for AI.
How did you know what's on my business card like right now?
I also have business cards.
Well, Ringmaster, thanks so much for coming on Accuracy Third.
Sure.
You're one of our favorite kind of guests, the guests that we call out their work, and they're like, hey, I made that.
Hey, I made that. Yeah.
And what did you make, Ringmaster?
Well, I guess we're here to talk about Mega, which was my project in 2019.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I think I knew that at some point, but I've been listening to like 19 hours of some other audio all week.
Okay, got it. Yeah, that was my piece. Everybody knew it as the box or that construction site or what the hell is that thing? Or yeah, that was mine.
That's the thing with just the noise inside and you get to be up at the top of it.
Yeah, that thing. Yeah,
brilliant.
Exactly. The piece was a giant box that was 40 feet by 40 feet, and the walls were 12 feet tall. It looked like a construction site. Now, there was a billboard on the front of it that showed what was being built, which was supposed to be this cool amusement park with a roller coaster. And then there was a big sign plastered across that says coming soon. So, it's like this thing is still being constructed. And there was one leg that was supposed to be the first hill of the roller coaster sticking up out of it. We didn't quite finish that part. That was the thing. It looked like these weird sticks hanging out of the top. But if you went around to the portholes and figured out the code, you could go to this door and there was a punch code and you could get in. And once you went inside, you had to go through these long hallways that were plastered with these fake OSHA posters that said stuff like, don't do anything that starts with, hey guys, watch this, like stuff like that, It's like, if you think OSHA is a town in Wisconsin, you're in trouble. It was a bunch of these posters. And once you got all the way around, there was a ladder that took you up to the second floor. But there were also hard hats and high-vis vests. And you could put on a high-vis vest and a hard hat and go up on top and just pretend you were one of the construction workers to everybody who was stuck outside down below. And then we also did a couple murals inside. And one of them said, what did you expect? Because, the whole point of the piece is about expectation versus reality.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one said, turn your expectations into question mark. So, that was part of the theme of the piece, was like, whatever you expect, it's never going to be that. It's going to be something different, but appreciate what it is when you find it.
That's like the core piece of advice we always end up giving to virgin burners.
Yes.
And try to hammer home even further into sophomore burners.
Yes. And then junior burners start making art badly.
How'd you get the concept for that?
I actually had the concept for a long time. I've done other projects at Burning Man for years, and I've always noticed that there were plenty that didn't quite get finished. And I just figured, why don't I just do a project that's never supposed to be finished? Because that would be really cool. And, it would be, I like the prank aspect of Burning Man. I've been going since 1993, right? So I remember the old days where it was really about fuckery. And,
oh, yeah.
And, I kind of missed all that kind of stuff. And I really wanted to kind of bring it back. So, yeah, that was my plan, to do something that would never be finished.
I love that, because I like you have always really liked the art that didn't quite make it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we were near that giant head that never quite got finished.
Did it feel like maybe you were rubbing it in a little?
Well, I shouldn't say that, because one of my friends, or a bunch of my friends, worked on it. So, but it was kind of rubbing it in a weird way. I didn't mean to. But, yeah.
What was between Cirque, Berserk, and Mega? Because I get the feeling you've done a bunch of stuff.
That's true. I helped found the camp Red Nose District, because that was Cirque Berserk was a founding part of that.
Uh-huh.
So that camp has been going on since 2006, and it's still there, and it's still going. We still have a circus tent. It's the same circus tent we started in Cirque Berserk. And then one year I decided that I wanted to do something different in the circus tent. So we made pedal powered bumper cars and we did pedal bump. So my wife and I and a couple other friends created that and made all the cars and welded them. And
I did that.
races.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
That's one of like the 4 or 5 most amazing things I've found at a theme camp in all of my years at Burning Man.
Cool.
It was so much fun.
Well, I made that too.
Did you also make the billiard table where you played pool with bowling balls?
That I did not. I can't take credit for that one.
Well, if anyone out there did that, call in. I want to lay my appreciation at your feet as well.
I never played that. Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. Hard on your wrist.
Yeah.
Dangerous for your feet and ankles, but a lot of fun.
Oh, so you know how the gate crew or well, okay, no, not gate crew. That's not so good. The DPW. Okay, so we had a special night for DPW. We let them come in and ride. And one of the things about pedal bump, I'm going to give a little explanation of what pedal bump really was. It's like we built this track inside the circus tent, and it's an oval track, and we the cars ran on these billboard tarps and stuff. And you could just crash into the walls, and you could crash into each other, you could crash into everything. But pedaling those cars was hard.
Uh-huh.
It was not. There were one gear, and there are these like
Steel.
yeah, they're steel. And we put a bunch of extra weight on them that's not supposed to be there. And, and they were meant to be like farm carts to like, tow your hay around or something. So they weren't meant to go fast. Right. But, we wanted people to ride them. And it was actually a great thing because they could never hit each other hard enough to break the cars as much as they might have because, you can only pedal as fast as you can pedal. But when DPW came in, our thing was like, we usually did like 3 laps, and like people would be done. Like there's no way, you'd be done after like 2 sometimes. Right. So DPW are, they smoke a lot and they drink a lot and they don't take care of themselves. So we did 4 or 5 laps with them.
You have to understand they've been dehydrating and slowly dying out there for like a month and a half or so.
Yeah, exactly. So,
But they also smoke and drink and don't take care of themselves.
Yeah, so there's a line, and I'm friends with lots of people in DPW. So there was a line of people in DPW who were just like passed out outside of our tent, and the other people were having to step over them to get to the thing. And they're like, "What's wrong with those guys?" And I'm like, "Oh, they're DPW. They've been here a long time. It's really hard. Just be nice to them." Yeah, it was great. Oh, and there was another one. So my wife was running the line, because we were, we'd have to run the line to like make sure there weren't people trying to cut or all that stuff or whatever. There was one guy who came up and he's like, I'm a lawyer. Do you guys have like insurance for this thing? And she just pointed, she just yelled to the line and said, "This motherfucker's a lawyer and wants to know if we have insurance. Does he understand Burning Man?" And everyone's like, "No!" And, boo! Boo! Right. And so, he's like, "Okay, well, I'm going to get on." And she goes, "No, you're not." And he's like, "Yes, I am. Of course I am." And she's like, "No, it's my right. It's my thing. You can't get on. I don't want you to get on it because you asked me if I have insurance. Come on, man. You don't understand the spirit at all, right? Get the fuck out of here." So all of his friends were like, "Oh man," they wanted to stay. So they stayed and they ostracized him. Lawyer. And they got up to the front. She's like, "I would have let him on if he brought me whiskey." And they were like, dude, there's whiskey in my car, in my bike. Go get it. You just bring her some whiskey. And he got down on his knees and handed her the whiskey. And when she was like adjusting the seat for him, she goes, "By the way, we do have insurance."
Pretty good.
It was great.
Oh, I fucking love it.
Yeah. It was really fun being an announcer for that because I got to heckle everyone at Burning Man and they couldn't run away. They were like stuck in the car, It was like the greatest. Because that's one of the things I love doing at Burning Man is like heckling, like getting a bullhorn out and
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
And I had a microphone and an ABC sports jacket and and I could heckle the hell out of everyone and it was the greatest thing.
Well, not for us. You made me feel pretty bad that day that I was there. But
You love
I
feeling terrible.
That's kind of true. We'll bleep this out.
You've really got the knack of this.
What did I say to you?
I don't remember, but I do remember like not doing that well and not understanding how heavy the cars were going to be. And then somebody hit me, and then like you were looming over me yelling at me. And it's fine. I deserved it. I'm a dirty little pig.
That sounds like an amazing vacation.
Yeah. It was. It's one of the best.
Oh, yeah. But one of our favorite things was like, when parents would try and bring their kids in, and like strap them in front of them and ride. And I'm like, oh, so you think the human shield is really going to make you win this thing?
Yes, shame the parents.
Yeah. There's probably video of this, and Child Protective Services is a thing.
Not in Nevada.
Right.
They have child protective services in Nevada. They're private, and they're purchased by each of the casinos separately. I hear the Harris Child Protective Services is top notch.
Well, the Circus one has got to be the best. Right?
Only for the performers.
Welcome to Death's Cabaret.
Can you tell our listeners what Mutaytor is?
Okay, what Mutaytor is. Yeah, Mutaytor was a performance spectacle. It was a lot of drums, a lot of electronics, and a lot of live dancers and aerialists and acrobats and fire spinners and it was just kind of a multimedia feast, of a group. There were a bunch of us. I mean, there were like 20 something of us at some times, and and it was, we performed. We got our start at Burning Man, and we were a band that played outside, toured and played a lot outside of Burning Man, but then also played at Burning Man for like 7 years or so. Yeah. From the early, I think our first show was like 2001. And then we went through like 2008, 2009, somewhere 2010. No, 10 years. Yeah. Okay.
It's a solid decade in a band. That's a good run.
Sorry. I had to think
Better than the
that.
Beatles. Mutator is better than the Beatles.
Well, I'm not going to go with that. But
Is there a story around how Mutaytor was founded? How did y'all happen?
No comment.
See, not your story to tell. Copy.
Well, yeah, well, no, I mean, we all found each other through Burning Man, and it was like, a bunch of drummers basically that started, and then other people started coming together and different fire spinners and dancers and performers, and, it just grew and grew and grew,
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
I think that's a thing that Burning Man has lost a little. There used to be like Burning Man celebrities. Like there was art that emerged out of Burning Man.
There were definitely music acts that emerged out of Burning Man.
Uh-huh.
Like the first one that I would say was the Mermen, back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
and then Shark Bait and
Gooferman.
Gooferman. Yeah, they were part of Red Nose District. So yeah, I love those guys.
Yeah,
they're good.
Fun.
They're really good friends of mine, and I played with them a bunch of times too. So, but they're definitely in there too.
Beats Antique.
Beats Antique, definitely Beats Antique. Yes, and lots of DJs and stuff. But
Yeah, but now I feel like it's all moving in the other direction. People who are famous outside showing up at Burning Man.
okay, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yes.
you throwing shade at Paris Hilton. She's a good DJ.
I don't know how you judge that.
There's advertisements for it in my podcast sometimes.
Okay, do you guys remember that art piece that she paid for? That giant parking garage thing that had
That was her?
yeah.
The Hilton Tower.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's what I was told. This is Burning Man lore.
That's also what I was told. I thought you had an inside line on that. I think that's bullshit.
I think it was because my friends who are in DPW said it was, but there was one day, I didn't do this, so nobody can arrest me, but one of our friends, it was a year where like you had all these really crazy berms and stuff, and the playa was just crazy. Like everyone was crashing their bikes and stuff. There was one guy in our camp who flew his Cessna in, and he hit this berm, and it just nosedived into the playa, just, and his plane was just fucked up, and it was not going to fly out. And there was one morning when I was looking at one of my friends who's in DPW, and I was looking at that tower, and I was looking at my friend who had a plane, and I'm like, could you rig a plane into the side of that in the middle of the night? Everyone would wake up and there's a plane sticking out of it, But,
Oh, God, that would have been so beautiful.
Right?
For the American dream.
yeah, that would have been a great phone for the American Dream one. Yeah. Didn't happen, unfortunately. She chickened out.
I remember climbing up to the top of that thing, getting to the top and thinking, that's what
now
this
I'm
is. Yep. This is just a big scaffolding, I see.
Yeah, well, it was pretty well built. I mean, it was a parking garage.
Uh-huh.
It
was solid and tall.
It was very solid and very tall. Yeah.
Exposed in every direction.
Yeah. They did do some sort of like face projection thing on one side. It was kind of cool, but it was like you built that for that,
I'm pretty sure that was the year that I was playing Tetris like 70 feet tall.
That makes sense.
Yeah, you guys remember Tetris Tower?
Yeah, that one was pretty cool.
I don't think I saw that one.
It was like a scaffolding tower, and the top two segments of scaffolding were scrimmed, and they were projecting Tetris on all four sides of it, and everyone could play Tetris against each other.
Wow.
I did pretty well
pretty cool.
while also not winning.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
The precursor to the later flaming Tetris of the Charcade.
Yeah, that
right.
was cool. Charcade.
Oh, the
was cool.
Charcade. Charcade was cool too. I love that too. That was a great piece.
Well, I think we've discovered something. We need someone to become Playa famous. We need a new Playa legend band.
All right.
Not
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. Well, somebody's got to.
Cool.
If they gave grants for that to bring it back, It was one of the years where the porta potties were not being sucked very often. So I would ride my bike out to Gate to go to the bathroom.
Smart.
They were the cleanest porta potties on the playa. And I rode out there, and these girls had just gotten there in their their Volkswagen Scirocco, and they were coming from Chicago. They had no idea what this was or anything. They were dressed for spring break,
Nice.
and they were, and this girl was like, can you just tell me what to do? And I'm like, okay. First of all, ditch your day clothes and think about the stupidest, craziest thing that you've ever thought of doing and do that, because this is the one place where you can do that. And then I saw her 3 days later. She was dressed completely in silver Mylar with this Mylar swirly hat on. She comes up and she goes, "Oh my God, it's you. I'm the Jiffy Pop girl." I'm like, fuck yeah.
And she's from Chicago, so she puts celery salt on it and the most disgusting relish you've ever seen.
Probably, yeah. And it's deep dish for some stupid reason.
No. The cheese melts better when it's 2 inches under the sauce.
Right. Yeah. So that was one of my favorite silly moments on the playa.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. There was one time when we were doing Cirque Berserk, we had there's this one of our clowns is named Eric, and he would do this act where he would juggle on top of a giant red ball, and this thing was huge, and it was just such a pain in the ass to get it in the truck and get someplace, because you couldn't stuff anything around it and stuff. But it was one of the things where everybody always hid his big red ball because it was so ridiculous to try to hide this thing. And there was one day where one of our crew members, who's a rigger, Rue, she got a crane from Heat and tied the red ball to the top of the circus tent at the very top in the pole, and we left it there. And he didn't notice for 3 days until one day we were all just sitting around, one of those afternoons where it's too hot and you're just all drinking beers and you're just cracked out. And he's like, he looks up on top of the tent and he goes, "Oh, some on the tent." We're like, "Uh-huh." He's like, "What the hell is up there?" I mean, that's weird. That doesn't. Oh my god! It was the great. It was one of those like amazing moments where we were all just like falling on the floor laughing. So, it took him 3 days to figure that out. Oh, and the other one, we were camped. Red Nose District was next. I think we were right next to Thunderdome when when somebody in the middle of the night put the Hot Topic up on the sign.
Oh, that was amazing.
One of the all-time classic pranks.
I love that, and I love the fact that all our friends over at Death Guild were like, "Yeah, we're leaving it." Good prank.
Yeah.
Yes.
They know what they are.
Yeah. And the board came over and said, "You got to take that down. That's advertising." They're like, "We didn't put it there, so we're not taking it down." So,
Yeah, I don't think anyone bought extra shit from Hot Topic because of that. I think that's pretty cool.
No, I'm pretty sure they didn't, but it was that was an epically good prank. So, but you know what? Actually, one of the first shows we did in 2006 as Cirque Berserk, we were getting ready for the show. We were like, we had rehearsed, we'd gotten everything, we'd got all our lights up, everything was ready, and then our entire lighting board short-circuited.
Shit.
And we had no lights, and everyone was crammed into the tent. It was hot, and it was like, and we're like, well, what are we going to do? So I actually decided, okay, everyone here has lights, right? Everyone has a headlamp, has a flashlight, and I'm like, and so I just went out and said, okay, here's the deal. We don't have any lights, but you guys do. So you are lighting the axe. So point your lights at the axe as they come out, and the entire audience lit the show. And it was the greatest thing ever.
God, that's magic.
I loved it. It was so cool. I'm like, can we do this all the time? We fixed the lighting board, but it's just one of those moments where you're just like, oh my God, this could never happen anywhere else. And it could never, you could never do that kind of thing anywhere else. And it was that was really magical. That was cool.
Was it challenging to do something as intensive as Cirque Berserk for your whole burn? Like that feels like it must eat.
What do you think?
Your entire.
It's exhausting.
Yeah.
And no, I mean, it was really exhausting. But it was, it's another one of those things where it's like, that was really rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my wife and I at the time, Suzanne, we created, we created this thing, and with a lot of help from a lot of our crew and a lot of, our friends, and it was intense and it was hard. And, there were times where we were like, are we going to make it through this? Are we actually going to live to see the end of this? I have no idea. But, it's like you're doing the craziest thing you could possibly do for a week. And there's a challenge to that. And then when you finish it, you're like, oh my God, I did that. And there's no other feeling in the world for that,
Yeah. I like the rewards are so manifest and obvious, but, do they balance out the FOMO? Was that an issue for you?
No, because I was doing all the stuff I wanted to do. I mean, I don't know. There's there's a part of me that's like, I'd love to just go and see everything at Burning Man, and that's great. And I've done those years. Mm-hmm. I have. They're great. But there's inevitably by the end of the week or the middle or the second day or, the third day or whatever, I'm always coming up with like the next thing I want to do. But, it just inspires me to want to make something again and then, not see all the art. It's like, I don't know. I think there's a certain part of Burning Man that you want to contribute to it, and it's like if you have that bug, you can't get rid of it. Yeah. So in some ways it's better for me not to go when I can't contribute because I'm going to want to contribute and I can't, Yeah. So it's hard,
I'm just, we're talking here about performance and how it seems to have declined a little bit. And I think about how exhausting like a run of a play in default is.
Yeah.
And to do a full commitment to performance for all of Burning Man seems nightmarish and awful. Which
Some people really like that shit. I was done every performance run I've ever done. I was done after the first night we got it right. And if that's opening night, then fuck me. I guess I'm going to be miserable every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for the next month or month and a half.
Yeah, well, you're more of a filmmaker, maybe,
I never wanted to edit, but here I am.
Well, there you go. It's like, I can get it right and then I'm done, but there's something like live theater or live performance. There's something like thrilling about it. It's like doing cocaine or something where you're just like, you're amped up for the entire time. And then when you're done, you're just spent.
But it's better than cocaine because people are more inclined to like you when you're performing.
Well, yeah, and they definitely shut up and let me talk. So, and to be fair, we didn't do a circus show every night. We tried to, we did 3, and I
guess that's not bad.
It's because you gotta recover. Like you can't just do that every night. And people want to go do stuff. It's like you bring all these like circus performers out, and it's like, hey, you're gonna do some circus, but they want to go experience Burning Man. They, some of them hadn't been there ever, and they came out to do this, and it was like eye opening and crazy. And some of them came back doing their own things and doing art and doing other circuses and all kinds of stuff. So you have to give them the room to be able to explore Burning Man. Like you were saying, you can't just commit yourself to this thing the entire week. Though that's what I did for Mega Mega. So
so you're dialing it up rather than back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Mega Mega was a 1-year achievement.
It was a oneer and a doneer. Yeah, you couldn't do that twice. That's like, you can't bring that back. We planned it as a kind of a full week thing where we'd go out and, do stuff around it and stuff. But I mean, it's like you have to an art piece you have to maintain. I don't think people realize that.
Oh yeah.
When you do an art piece, you got to go check on it. You got to make sure the generator is still running, or make sure your solar is still working, or make sure people haven't like killed someone on it, or there's all kinds of problems you've got to solve all week.
Discover what unexpected nightmare the playa has wrought on your art.
Oh, absolutely. It's always, and it's inevitably like you bring 4 of everything, and the one thing you brought 1 of is the thing that breaks.
Uh-huh.
And it's
these are brand new belts. We're not going to need new belts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think the way to not improve upon Mega Mega, because I wouldn't be that presumptive, but to give it the evolution of this sort of active performance at Burning Man that we all seem to crave, is you build like a 20-foot square hurricane fence with razor wire or barbed wire on top of it. And inside of that fence, you just start building a scaffolding up a little bit every day, like you're going to build a tower inside that scaffolding, but all you ever do is build the scaffolding up and never touch like the giant pile of wood you have next to it.
Yeah, well, that's basically what I did.
And then at the end of that, you've got the Hilton Tower.
Yeah, and then you have the
true.
Hilton Tower. Yeah, and you tell people the scaffolding's too rickety, you can't climb it. That's
Well, they can't get to it through the razor wire.
Oh, they can. Believe me, they can get.
I'm sorry, Rangers.
There were people who. One experience we had at Mega Mega was we came in to to check the generator and stuff, and there was a guy trying to climb the one thing, and the thing that you should not climb was the roller coaster, because it was obviously just the ricketiest thing, and this guy was trying to climb that.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had to coax him down, and it turns out he had been going around to all these art pieces like with a screw gun and taking screws out of them. He had this like bag of screws from all the art.
Wow.
And some of them from ours, and it was one of those things of like, having this conversation with the guys, like, what are you thinking? Like, what made you want to do this? And obviously there was no talking to the guy. He ran away, but, You have to account for that kind of stuff. It's like, it's kind of nuts.
So a long time ago, me and my buddy Dandy wrote this play called The Random Idiot Factor. And it is about that guy.
Perfect.
Like, you can lock down society as much as you want. You can control your space as much as you want, but you can never account for just a random idiot wandering in, doing some stuff you don't expect, and wandering out, and that is the cause of your problems.
Yeah. There you go.
Stealing structural screws is not pranks.
That's not a prank.
No, it's a random idiot.
It's a totally random idiot. Yes. And there's more than there should be, but
Yeah. Really, the only thing that's acceptable to steal for pranks is a flag. And I didn't say that. I don't enforce that. Nobody come at me.
Yeah, come steal our flag, bro.
yeah, flag. Sure.
Because the understanding is that it'll come back.
Yeah. Or they'll, or you'll have your flag and they'll come steal it back. Yeah. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of a given. Yeah.
That had to be a pretty big step up in terms of, I mean, I guess not if you pounded it every steak in a circus tent. But
Yeah.
like the scale of Mega seems daunting to a person who doesn't do art.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it wasn't actually that daunting. I mean, I've done stuff that size or larger. So it was, I mean, the weight of it, that was a big deal. But the size itself was, it wasn't a huge piece, but it was good. It was big enough, to like be somewhat impressive, I think. So
The noise coming out of it made it seem bigger, I bet.
well, that was part of the point. Yeah.
Well, and the fact that when you were up close, it loomed.
Yeah.
It's a big bluff wall.
Yeah. It was a 12-foot wall. Yeah.
That's pretty great.
Yeah.
Was that your first piece of place art?
That was my first piece of place art. Yes. Yeah. I had never applied for a grant or anything before that. I'd just done, a lot of stuff at camps or in front of camps, and or performance and stuff. I'd always wanted to do an art piece that was placed, and so I applied for the grant and I got it. So somebody had a sense of humor. Thank God.
I think the art department as a whole has a pretty good sense of humor.
Yeah.
And lets a lot of stuff through.
Yeah. No, it's true. Yeah. Yeah.
So what was your experience like putting placed art up?
It was really great. I have to admit that Burning Man really treats artists well. They were very supportive the whole time, and they were really cool when I was checking in and going, when I had issues and stuff. I mean, we needed some heat stuff to get the thing up, and they were really cool. And we had issues, and they helped problem solve, and it was great. I kind of wish that they would expand that to art cars and theme camps, like the same treatment. But I do respect what they do with the artists.
It's a lot more folks to help set up your theme camp.
It's a lot more folks to help set up your theme camp. Yeah. And for the most part, with theme camps, you've got a lot of people, and with an art project, you're kind of limited only because it takes a long time to build an art project. I mean, we started in February and barely got it done. We didn't, the really funny thing is it was never supposed to be finished. Well, it wasn't even as finished as we wanted to be not finished.
Of course.
So, so we started in February and then barely got it done. And it was a commitment. I mean, it's like my crew was great. They were there like every weekend, hammering and screwing plywood to 2x4s and stuff, and just cranking out all these walls and stuff. And it's a long process, and it's challenging. So it's not for the faint of heart.
No, but the rewards, the glory.
The glory, yes. Tell that to my bank account.
Glory ain't cheap. Never has been.
Yeah. The getting a grant is great, but people don't realize, like, you get a grant, it's like for barely half your piece if you're lucky.
Yeah.
And then you've got to raise the rest while you're trying to make the art, and it's tough. I mean, like at some point, and mine was a problem because I didn't want to tell everyone what I was making, so I was like,
right.
Well,
it kind of spoils it.
Yeah, I got this thing, and like I tried to sell, what we were pretending we were making.
It's gonna be big and cool.
Yeah, and that worked a little. And then once people donated, I would write to them and say, hey, so we're not really making that. We're making this other thing. And if you want your money back, it's okay. And then nobody wanted their money back. Everybody said, no, I'm going to give you more money.
Good.
So that was good. But it ended up costing a lot more. And I put a lot of my own money into it just to have the glory.
Sounds like art.
It's art. It's how art goes. Yeah.
Yep.
It's successful art. I don't know anybody that didn't feel a certain way when they encountered that piece.
Yeah, that was the intention. I definitely wanted people to either love it or absolutely hate it. And I got both, and it was great. It was, yeah.
Oh, I want to hear about the hate.
Right? Because it seems like all of us should kind of be in on that joke.
Well, our crew was out there a lot. Part of it was, we went out in jumpsuits and hard hats and we taught people how to wheat paste, like all those bill posters. We put up the thing all around the thing that said "Post no bills," and then all week we would bring out posters of Bill the Cat and William Shakespeare and Bill Clinton and every Bill, Bill Maher, all the bills we could think of, and we taught people how to wheat paste them on the side of the thing. So it was like all participants that wheat pasted those up with our help. And then people just started tagging it, which is exactly what I wanted to do. But I wanted people to do. Burning Man said, please don't tell people to tag the art. And I said, I'm not going to tell anybody anything. They're just going to do it. I know it's going to happen. I mean, it's begging to be tagged. So, so they were like, just don't help them. I won't help them tag the art. It's fine. But
we know you want this wood.
Yeah. They knew the posters were ours, and it was all part of the thing, So they were cool with that. But
God, what a municipal government the org is.
They are. They're. I mean, they didn't want people tagging other art besides mine. I'm like, tag away.
It's the broken windows theory of art curation.
It's exactly.
Back when Rudy Giuliani was on the board of Burning Man.
You should have put up a big sign next to it that says, please do not tag this piece of art specifically.
This art monitored by Neighborhood Watch. Report suspicious activity to the org.
Oh, well, that's what Post No Bills was, I mean, come on, that's what it is, right? That's what it means. Please don't put your art on this. That's the whole thing. Which of course invites people to put their art on it. But some of the hate. Yeah, I got some hate from people who couldn't figure out the code to get in the door. And I wouldn't give it to them, just give it to them. I gave them hints how to figure it out. But that's, some people are just a little too high or a little too dumb or I don't know what, but they couldn't quite figure it out. So I got a little of that. And then I was actually driving over to the fuel depot to get fuel for our generator. And I heard somebody go on BMIR and say, hey, the code to that box is blah, 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 blah. And I'm like,
we can change that code, bitch.
Well, I couldn't because I'd already screwed in the LED panel. The code. Okay, if anybody didn't figure this out, let me help you. There were these portholes, right, that you could look in, like at a construction site, and you look in and you can see the work going on. Well, we animated Tonka trucks in sand, and we put numbers on each one of them, right? So all you had to do was write down the numbers of the 4 Tonka trucks, and that was the code. So, it's pretty easy.
That's pretty good, yeah. Yeah, I don't remember figuring that out, but I do remember someone letting me in.
Yeah, well, somebody, I mean, the funniest thing was watching people who figured it out not letting people in.
Nobody doesn't let me into stuff.
Yeah, they're like, did you figure out the code? No.
Yeah, excuse me.
Plunk, there's the door.
Sorry.
Not getting in.
It's a construction site in here. If you can't pass the safety test, we can't let you inside.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
OSHA.
I'm wearing closed-toed boots.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I should give a shout out to Art Lazarro. He designed all of those OSHA posters and the billboard that was on the outside. Oh, there was another part of this piece that I think a few people got, but there was a billboard on the Esplanade near Red Nose District of the billboard that was on the piece, and it was this huge, billboard size thing, and it had an arrow, a lit up arrow that pointed out toward the piece that was like advertising the art piece.
Huh.
And so you could think you're going to this thing out there, and then you get there and it's this piece of shit.
God, I love that there's depth to this art piece.
Yeah, right.
Well,
that I didn't even discover.
Well, it almost had even more depth because we were actually negotiating with one of the tribes on the highway out to Burning Man to put up a billboard of that.
Oh my
on
God.
the highway on the way to Burning Man.
Wow.
But they wouldn't go for it. So
That's too bad.
yeah. Yeah, that would I regret that to this day, but that would have been.
I mean, I can see it from their perspective. It's probably a real slippery slope to them. You're making
totally.
art, but there's other assholes who are going to be like,
Totally.
we could put signs up for our fucking theme camp or whatever.
Yeah. Or Burning Man closed next exit, or whatever. Yeah. But we really wanted to build 2 billboards and have one on the highway. So.
So you've seen the city change tremendously. What's your impression of the evolution of Black Rock City?
I have a lot of friends who are those cranky burners who are like, oh, it was so much better in the old days, and it was different. It was I don't think anybody could have ever built anything that you can build out there in those days, and that just never would have happened. So I appreciate it for that.
We didn't have battery powered tools back then.
Good point. Yeah. I mean, the only reason I was able to do Callio-dome was Burning Man actually let me tie into their power from center camp. So there's no way I would have been able to do it other than that. So, I didn't own a generator or any of those things, and that you had to have a generator. I mean, it was like Burning Man just smelled like gasoline most of the time.
Yep.
Which I kind of miss in a way. It's like that smell of burning gas, but it's probably great that it doesn't smell like that anymore. But I think it's evolved, and I think it's devolved, and I think it just keeps changing. I love the fact that you can go do the craziest giant things, and you can also still go and do the craziest jackassery things. You can't fire guns anymore, but that's about it. I mean, you can do so much, but I don't know if it's better or worse or what. I mean,
You've been going a bit longer than me for sure, because you were there when you could fire guns.
Yeah, that's the only time I ever fired a gun. Oh no, until this year, I went to somebody's wedding and shot some clay pigeons. But before that, the only time I fired a gun was I drove up to the shooting gallery and somebody handed me an AK-47 and said, "Go shoot Barney."
Yeah, all right.
I started in 99, and I feel like everything that I found in the old days or my old days is still there. It's just sort of, there's more of it, but it's more diffused.
Yeah.
Like there's more of everything.
Yes.
But it's all still there.
Yeah, it's harder to find. It's more. There's more of it, but it's harder to find.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's your favorite
Burning Man theme?
Stop it.
My favorite Burning Man theme. Well, my favorite Burning Man theme, which was underutilized. How's that? It's not my favorite Burning Man theme, but it was the one that I wish someone had done a specific piece, and I wish I had done it. America, because somebody should have done a Guantanamo Bay art piece, and no one did. And I wish I could go back in time and do it.
Oh, yeah. It was ripe for it.
That's the American dream right there.
Yeah, right. That would have been my RP. I would have gotten a great grant for that one.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed in that year, too. I thought more people were aware of, Hunter S. Thompson's American Dream and what it meant for the art that we should have expected out there. I mean, Burn Wall Street was great.
Yes.
That was a profoundly good idea. The $100 bill hammer pants I wore out there, that was also a really good idea.
That does sound like a good idea.
I saw somebody made giant paper mache puppet heads of the Bush cabinet as the royal cards from Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't see that.
Pretty cool.
I would have liked to have seen that. I mean, I remember one of my favorite years early on when I really decided Burning Man was something I really wanted to invest in was the year they did Hellco. And it was just, it was like suddenly everything got bigger all of a sudden. And Wood Pussy was out doing this this crazy performance art piece with their these flaming hats and this rocket that just went and just fell into the ground, which was amazing. And it was like, oh, I understand what this is now. I want to be part of that. So that was where I decided to keep going.
Was there ever a moment where you thought maybe it was time to hang up your hat?
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I thought about it just after I did Mega Mega. So I was like, yeah, maybe I'm done with this. Maybe I've done an art piece out there. I've done a big art piece. Maybe I just don't want to go anymore. And then the pandemic happened.
Right. So you took the next 2 years off.
I took the next 2 years off. Yeah. Yeah. My crew and I, we're always like, oh, we actually did end up building the rest of Mega Mega in 2020. It's just nobody was there. So. But, and then I realized that, all the people that I was missing were all the people that I couldn't see for the next 2 years. So, I went back in 2023 and, my wife and I built another piece, in 2023.
What was that?
And, it's more her project, Sarah Firefly, that she's the artist. She goes by Sassy Galaxy. It's called the Bouncing Infinity Gadget. It's based on a bucket elevator, like a grain elevator.
Uh-huh.
You crank this wheel and it picks up all these super balls and then dumps them into a giant structure that's filled with symbols, and they bounce all over the place and bounce off the symbols and stuff. And then they roll back into the thing and you just keep cranking it. It's an infinity machine. Right. So, yeah, we brought that. Yeah.
I'm filled with rage that I didn't see this thing. I'm picturing it in my head, and it seems
like a lot of fun.
It was pretty cool. Yeah, and we took it to Love Burn, and it was really great. Everybody loved it there. So it was kind of a centerpiece of the neighborhood there. We want to perfect it and bring it somewhere else. We're hoping somebody wants to buy it, and put it somewhere. Kids would love it. I mean, the kids do love it. So it's cool.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it's great.
How big is it?
It's 12 feet wide, 24 feet tall.
If you can shorten it to just under 20 feet, I don't need a permit for it in my backyard. I've looked into building a 25-foot tall by 5 foot by 1 foot thick obelisk in my backyard so I can have my own monolith, and that is too tall for Oakland to let me do without a permit.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Real disappointing, Oakland.
Good to know. I want to actually build a bunch of art out in Joshua Tree, and they're pretty lax, so you can do that kind of thing.
You want to build an obelisk with me out there? I really think Joshua Tree needs a monolith is all.
Okay. Well, we can talk.
Great. And that was Ringmaster. Beth, how is doing live theater like doing cocaine for you?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, I suppose it's short-lived, really enthusiastic feeling, and I can't sleep afterwards.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. I've done theater and cocaine.
I would have accepted the buzz.
I would have accepted the diarrhea.
Theater diarrhea.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you get those stage squirts?
Never got to poop more than like every time I got to go on stage.
Can I tell you guys a story? Okay, so when I was in grad school, I was having a reading of my play that I was writing in grad school that was a part of my program.
The Liz Estrada, but it's like Liz Estrada as a name.
Obviously. And we were doing it in this little like space. Oh, God, it was awful. So I was there. I had done the lighting and the sound design for it because I'm a designer. So I was there way early for this reading. And I was desperately anxious. And so I went to go smoke this little pipe that I had, this little wooden pipe that had a like lid that you could flip around. It was a really cute little travel pipe. And I went into the bathroom to smoke it because obviously weed will make me less anxious. And I lit my hair on fire. Just lit it the fuck on fire. And I, like, there was this little, like, gross, you know, like how hair becomes this liquid mass that just sort of mats. It was a small amount. It was before my reading. It was cool. I was in grad school. I was an adult.
Sounds like a mess.
Yep. When I try to make art.
Well, I'm glad I can't empathize with that. Accuracy Third is produced by Accuracy Third. The music in this episode is Death's Cabaret by Cirque Berserk, one of the several super cool bands that Ringmaster was involved with.
Fuck yeah. Hey.
Beth, I would tell you what the other bands are, but you've already listened to the episode and
Clearly.
You've heard the interview 2 or 3 times already, pouring through it, helping me make sense of the material. And you know as well as I do how cool Ringmaster's Burning Man experience was.
Name
Kudos.
one other.
Go to burnernarc.com. It's not just a joke.
It's also T-shirts. So what are we doing on Wednesday of event week at 2 p.m.?
Oh, you know what we're doing event week, Wednesday, 2 p.m. Same thing we do every event week, Wednesday, 2 p.m. We're going to be serving drinks to our listeners. Drinks consisting of liquor and probably not mixers, unless we're feeling very nice.
Or Stage Dive shows up.
Or someone does it for us.
Maybe we'll make some hot white creme de menthe and make flaming grasshoppers, hot crickets.
I don't like. Where are we going? Where's our party?
Well, that's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
This year, our party is at Camp Got a Lot Going On, which is all one word. Got a lot going on at 345 and A.
So far away.
It is
Like 2 blocks.
yeah, 4 blocks, 2 hours.
Yeah, that sounds like 2 blocks to me.
Yeah.
Douche said that unless for personal grievance reasons that come up between now and the event, he is happy to drive us to the party with the art car.
Oh my
There
God,
you go.
that's great.
So come to the party, see our art car. Not our art car, Douche's art car.
Oh my God, it'd be really fucking funny. Hey guys, because we know that Douche doesn't listen to the podcast. If there is an art car parked out front, and I will say it is somewhat alien themed, not about our podcast, but it is somewhat alien themed. If you see that art car, just come in and tell D-Day and Rex and I how great our art car is.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Very loudly and
Yeah.
frequently.
Love what you did with the art car.
Yeah.
So one more time, Wednesday, 2 p.m. at Camp Got a Lot Going On at 345 and A. We'll try and remember to fly our flag so you can find us with the white flag with the big alien head. There's
Or
a
pro tip, D-Day and I are both this loud all the time. If you just stop and give a little listen, you can probably track us down.
I think we're louder out there.
We are. We absolutely are.
Like,
if-
I don't
if
lose
you
my
still
voice when
have
I'm not
your
sick
voice.
here.
Yeah, if I still have my voice, but the thing is, there's no walls to bounce it back into my ears that makes my ears hurt with how
We
loud
will
it is.
face the intersection or whatever the outside of the camp is.
look for the giant teddy bear cuddle puddle.
Fabulous.
Bring mixers.
Do you like us a bunch and want to support us? There's a lot of ways to do that. You could give us money. That's a very, very fucking helpful. And thank you to everyone who gives us money.
It's direct.
But if you are not a money giving person, because understandably we're all being crushed under the system, remember that you can give to us by coming on and talking to us.
Also direct.
You can give to us by recommending us to your Burning Man friends and recommending that they come on and talk to us. There's a bunch of ways to support us that do not involve any of your hard-won cryptocurrencies. But you can support us while being as broke and poor as most of us are currently.
Especially if you want to do some creative collaboration with us. Do you have some music to share with us? We love featuring your music.
Do you want to interview your friends about the regional or the Burning Man event itself or your camp? Please fucking do it.
Do you want to try your hand at podcast editing?
Please edit our podcast.
Would you like to teach us how to make an accuracy third meme coin? So we can rug pull our entire listenership for $3,000 to $5,000?
No,
Please.
Mean.
Get at us in the Discord.
Terrible.
The link is in the comment. What?
Come to our Discord.
So now stealing from people who love our voices and hearing the things that we say, that's bad?
I think love is a strong word for what they feel about our voices.
Are you a high net worth individual that wants to stake and support our dream of acquiring the intellectual property rights to Fire Festival 2 from Billy McFarland?
Are you a Russian national that is interested in supporting our dream of undermining the U.S. governmental system?
Did you live in or around Camp Lejeune between the years of 1997 and 2015? If so, a settlement may be waiting for you.
Do you know where your children are? I hope so, because otherwise the Rangers are going to lock the gate.
BurnerNarc.com. Join us on Discord.
Top 10 outro.
Link is in the show notes.
You've reached a land a bit depraved. Take a seat and you'll find all that you crave. The boys here hold imbibe so free. The guns and girls all cram. What you need is for road racing all around Rosie. No need at all for the pocket from the posies. We rent our road racing all around Rosie. No need at all for the pocket from the posies.
What's your lowest moment on Playa?
Oh, wow, geez, I've had so many. It's
Limbo Camp.
limbo camp. There you go. That's a nice way to put it. Yeah. No, I've gone through some relationships and ends of relationship. Oh, yeah. No, I wouldn't consider that my lowest point. Okay, I'm going to tell you something that was potentially low. Okay, 2000 was also the year that the porta potty vendor decided not to pick up anything.
The year of the shit stick.
Yeah. But fortunately for me, I decided that the only thing I was going to eat out there was Metrix bars. So
Oh my God, like sports bars from the late 90s, early 2000s were fucking horrible.
Yeah. All I brought was a case of Metrix bars, and that's all I ate all week. And I never had to use the porta potty.
Yeah, I bet you did. I bet you did once you got to Reno, though.
Yeah, I certainly did. Yeah. In fact, actually, my worst moment was getting to Reno after being at a Burning Man and going to the buffet and not realizing that you really shouldn't eat everything at the buffet. And I literally crawled to the elevator, laid on my back in the elevator, and then crawled to my room. That's a low moment. I'm going to go with that.
And then past 64 perfectly rectangular metric bar shaped stools.
Exactly. And the lobster tail that I had just inhaled. Yeah.
Yeah, that counts as Burning Man as far as I'm concerned.
Right? Yeah, that's the lowest moment. Yeah.
It's the Burning Man aftermath.
Oof.
Yeah.
What I was going to ask you for a favorite of before D-Day so rudely cut me off, is there an art piece that is for you like the pinnacle of Burning Man art?
It was the big rig jig.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh,
that was
yeah.
spectacular.
Yeah, that was just like, came along and it was like, what? That's amazing. And it was just, beautiful and you could climb it and it was just crazy. It was like, you would never see that anywhere else at the time. So yeah, I'm going to go with that one.
Yeah, it really does tick all the boxes. It's like just aggressive show of scale and beautiful and sensuous in its own right and climbable fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, big rig jig forever.
Yeah.
Too bad nobody was living in it all week.
Oh yeah. Dicky's box. Actually, that was a great one too. Yeah. That was an awesome piece.
Yeah, there hasn't really been a piece of performance art like that since.
It's true. That's something that I wish people would do more of too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because he wasn't even the first person to do that sort of thing. Like there was Waterboy for
Yeah, Waterboy
Yeah, for a
was
while.
disgusting.
yes, he was.
Wait, is that the guy with the bulbous thing on his head that was just filled with water and he breathed out of a snorkel? Or is it?
I don't know about that guy.
Well, there was also that guy.
Yeah, that guy's pretty incredible, sounds like.
Waterboy was like a clear plastic suit filled with water that had a guy in it.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, I heard about. I never saw that, but
It was awesome and gross.
We need like a flagpole sitter at Burning Man.
there you go.
And there was Dr. Megavolt.
Yeah,
Oh,
Dr. Megavolt was incredible.
He was a friend of ours. Mutator and stuff. But I hated him the first time I met him because the Callio-dome, right? It was this pyramid and it had a sampler and you could hit all the panels and play parts of music, so you could play the pyramid. But every time Dr. Megavolt came by, he like fried my sampler and I would have to like load everything back into it. And it happened like 6 times that week. And it was like, motherfucker, stay away. Yeah. But
Holy shit, I'd never thought of the effect he'd have on electronics.
oh yeah.
Things are much better shielded now.
Yeah. These were not. This was like an old Akai, like he loaded it in with a floppy disk. And so I hated him. And then
It took so fucking long to load, like a 15-second sample.
Yeah. So I'd have to, I was inside this pyramid and like putting the samples back in, and people were hammering on it, thinking it's broken. I'm like, But anyway, then I became friends with him after when we did Mutator, and he was a part of our show and stuff a lot. And there was a song, we had a Megavolt song, and yeah.
Yeah, I think the last time I saw you guys was billed as a Mutator versus Megavolt show.
Yeah, there were a few of those. Yeah.